Democrats really have no chance of blocking this nomination, and so they are instead kind of using this week of very high-profile hearings to focus on some issues.
It's a multi-thousand-mile journey for these Central American migrant families, and this is where it's going to end, on these roads here in South Texas.
Thomas Paine was in high school on 9/11, and feeling a sense of duty, he joined the Army after graduation. Today, he received an honor he considers an amazing responsibility.
Senator Elizabeth Warren started her town hall here in Toledo saying she knows that Ohio is going to be really important in 2020.
Just to kind of orient you as to where we are, behind me is the Capitol building. They are heading in the direction of the White House, which of course has been ground zero for the protests here in Washington over the past week.
In this lively court proceeding, Judge Amy Berman Jackson has officially banned Roger Stone from speaking publicly about this case.
Thousands gathered on the mall behind me leading up to the Lincoln Memorial, where we heard from various speakers. Among them was the son of Martin Luther King Jr.
The president's allies are actively trying to court some of those moderate Republicans who have been wavering on the question of witnesses.
Lawmakers are quite possibly making their most consequential vote of their entire political careers, whether or not to impeach the president of the United States.
Florida lawmakers really believe that they're going to be able to secure some federal assistance for businesses in the state that are really dependent on tourism and travel.
The 9th Congressional District seat has sat empty for months, and Tuesday voters in that district will get a chance to pick their new congressman.
Why is this push for plasma so critical?
Well, from the beginning, the president asked us to really work on innovative off-the-shelf therapies.
4 years ago, I was in New Hampshire. I have this photo I took of you in New Hampshire.
Yeah. Are you confident Congress will get this done by the end of the month when the current law runs out?
Let's say I'm hopeful.
Right now, foreign countries are targeting U.S. agriculture products as a result of President Trump's tariffs. Are farmers paying too high a price for the president's trade war?
Well, I think farmers amazingly understand the president's motive here.
This is one of the busiest areas for family units. This traditionally used to be where they would always send them. As you can tell, this path is already, the grass is dead exactly from where they walk. You're talking about thousands and thousands of people. When you look at the numbers of family units, I want to say even last fiscal year, we surpassed the number of family units that we had in our custody in 2014. And by far, 2019 has surpassed those as well.
She said she's coming here, for a better life. She said down there everything's so expensive. Work is very difficult to come by. So she's just trying to make a better life for her family. He said, obviously, for the reason you're going to hear from most of them, it's a better life for his family, because, in the country he's coming from, it's just impossible to do that.
Every person, child, the adult, whatever it is, everybody pays a price to get across. And that's something that is often lost, right? The amount of money that these transnational criminal organizations are making, whether it's people just turning themselves in or people trying to get away. The only people making money off of it is going to be those transnational criminal organizations.
Could you repeat those?
Could you repeat those?
40 officers.
Off the coast of Miami, Florida, there's a borderless battle to combat illegal immigration.
It's easy to overlook it. It's easy to forget, especially with the big focus on the southern border.
While the president is focused on his signature campaign promise.
You cannot have border security without a wall.
Officials here are patrolling the high seas, looking to spot migrants before they can reach land.
There is no wall around South Florida or around our coastline, and we have thousands of miles of coastline.
We got special access inside the tactical operations of the U.S. Coast Guard.
A different kind of way to start your morning.
We joined the team on one of their medical missions to treat the coral. Researcher Kevin McCauley and the group mix up antibiotics into paste, filling dozens of syringes with the concoction.
The amoxicillin, though, is obviously the really important part. That's what's doing the hard work, actually stopping this disease.
Up in this area might be a good area for you to head to first.
And then it's go time.
Thank you.
This is a hands-on kind of job. Scientists apply the formula directly onto the tissue of the sick coral. Then the paste slowly releases the drug.
Just like that, right onto the face of the coral, right onto that disease margin. It's a pretty obvious disease margin. There's a big white line right up against healthy tissue on the coral, so it's an obvious one to see.
I think most of us don't have fingerprints at this point because we're applying it to the corals, but whatever it takes.
The researchers document their findings, marking when they provide treatment with nails and large yellow tags.
We go back to the coral, we look around, look where the nails are and see if there's any active disease to see if that treatment was effective or ineffective.
This is one of the most coral-dense areas these researchers treat. They've tagged up to 800 corals here, and without their intervention, they aren't sure if there would be any left.
Just a little after 5 on Monday night, employees of the dairy circus in Scotia smelled smoke.
We found there was fire upstairs, evacuated, called 911.
Everyone got out unscathed, but the same can't be said for the building. The fire chief thinks it's a total loss.
This has been one of the cornerstones of the village of Scotia.
And the loss of this place means the loss of a lot of memories.
I've gone here at least once a week. It's like a tradition. The sports teams come here after school, before games.
We've lived in Scotia about 25 years. We've been coming here ever since we moved here.
For decades, they've been serving ice cream, hamburgers, and fish fry. It's so iconic, the Dairy Circus even made its movie debut in The Place Beyond the Pines in 2012.
Captured the mood.
Capturing the mood on Monday was tougher.
It's a big void, I'll tell you.
The owners didn't want to talk yet. It's still too much to process.
In the corner booth, that was our favorite place to sit.
But knowing how loved this place was, maybe it's time for the people who ate here to do the serving.
I believe that they will be back before you know it, because I believe that the community will rally together.
In Scotia, Katie Eastman, Time Warner Cable News.
For years, the month of June has been marked with pride at the First Lutheran Church.
First Lutheran Church is always happy to welcome our neighbors.
The rainbow flag has stood tall, blowing in the wind outside of the church, which also houses the Damien Center. Inside, people living with HIV or AIDS knew this was a place they could feel safe.
For years, and even today, persons from the LGBT community and persons with AIDS are victims of violence, of discrimination, and of hate, right here in our local community.
That hate surfaced when the Damien Center's executive director, Perry Gingulis, walked over to the building about a week ago.
In my head, I said, gosh, the wind must have been really strong last night. It must have really ripped that flag apart. And someone came up to me and said, the flag's been burned. And at first I didn't believe them, because it just wasn't even imaginable.
The burned flag had gaping holes just days after 49 people were brutally murdered at Pulse, a gay nightclub in Orlando.
It really was a horrifying feeling that so many people who went out to have fun lost their lives. And then a week and a half later to have the pride flag burned, it was just a really horrible feeling.
And while police are still trying to figure out who set the flag on fire, a new one has been donated by the original maker, sending a message to the vandal or vandals.
We'll put that flag back up, and we're going to stand up and we're going to speak even louder now.
The flag once again standing tall, like so many surrounding it in the face of adversity.